September 1st, 1939. At 4:45 a.m., the German battleship Schleswig-Holstein opens fire on Polish positions at Westerplatte. In that moment, a regional conflict ignites into the deadliest war in human history. By its end, over 70 million souls will perish. Welcome to AI Horizon's comprehensive examination of World War II. I'm your narrator, and today we begin our journey through humanity's darkest chapter. Part 1 covers the war's explosive origins through 1941, when the conflict transformed from European crisis to global catastrophe. But this war didn't begin in September 1939. Its roots stretch back to the ashes of the First World War. The Treaty of Versailles had left Germany economically devastated and politically humiliated. Adolf Hitler exploited this resentment, promising to restore German greatness. By 1938, he had already seized Austria and dismembered Czechoslovakia. The world watched nervously as Hitler's ambitions grew. Then came his fateful demand, the Polish Corridor and the Free City of Danzig. On August 23, 1939, Hitler shocked the world by signing a non-aggression pact with his ideological enemy, Joseph Stalin. The secret protocol divided Poland between Nazi Germany and the Soviet Union. War was now inevitable. At dawn on September 1st, 1.5 million German troops poured across the Polish frontier. The world witnessed a new form of warfare: blitzkrieg, lightning war. The Wehrmacht's revolutionary tactics combined tanks, aircraft, and motorized infantry in coordinated strikes that shattered traditional defenses. Polish forces, despite fierce resistance, were overwhelmed. Their brave but obsolete cavalry charges against German tanks became symbols of an old world dying. Britain and France declared war on September 3rd, but their response was too little, too late. The phony war began. Months of military inactivity while Poland bled. On September 17th, Stalin struck from the east. Caught between two totalitarian powers, Poland's fate was sealed. Warsaw fell on September 27th after heroic resistance. In just 5 weeks, the nation that had stood as Europe's bulwark against both German and Russian expansion was erased from the map. Stalin's appetite wasn't satisfied. On November 30th, the Red Army invaded Finland. The Winter War exposed shocking Soviet weaknesses. Elite Finnish forces inflicted catastrophic casualties on massive Russian armies. Hitler watched and learned. Hitler struck north in April 1940. Operation Weserübung seized Denmark in hours and Norway in weeks, despite fierce British naval resistance. The Royal Navy's failures cost Prime Minister Chamberlain his job. Winston Churchill, architect of the disastrous Norwegian campaign, ironically became his replacement. On May 10, 1940, Hitler unleashed Fall Gelb, the assault on Western Europe. German armies swept through Belgium and the Netherlands, while the main thrust came through the impassable Ardennes forest. The French had prepared for the last war, building the mighty Maginot Line, but Heinz Guderian's Panzer Corps simply went around it. In a masterpiece of military deception, the Germans achieved complete strategic surprise. By May 24th, German spearheads had reached the English Channel, trapping 400,000 British and French troops in a shrinking pocket around Dunkirk. Operation Dynamo, the miracle of Dunkirk, evacuated 338,000 men, but left behind all their heavy equipment. France, the great power that had stood against Germany for over a century, collapsed in just 6 weeks. On June 14th, Wehrmacht units marched down the Champs-Élysées. Marshal Pétain signed an armistice on June 22nd in the same railway car where Germany had surrendered in 1918. Hitler controlled Western Europe from the Arctic to the Pyrenees. Only Britain remained defiant across the Channel. Churchill's words rang out, "We shall never surrender." But first, Britain had to survive. The Battle of Britain began in July 1940 as the Luftwaffe sought to gain air superiority for Operation Sea Lion, the planned invasion of Britain. For 3 months, young RAF pilots, the few, battled seasoned Luftwaffe crews over English skies. Radar gave Britain crucial early warning, while German tactical errors, particularly the shift from attacking airfields to bombing cities, proved decisive. By October, Hitler postponed Sea Lion indefinitely. Meanwhile, Mussolini's Italy proved a liability rather than an asset. Failed invasions of Greece and Egypt forced Hitler to divert precious resources to the Mediterranean. The Balkan Campaign of April 1941 demonstrated German military superiority, but cost valuable time. Operation Mercury, the airborne assault on Crete, succeeded but at such cost that Hitler never again attempted a major airborne operation. These diversions delayed Hitler's greatest gamble, Operation Barbarossa. On June 22, 1941, 3 million Axis troops launched the largest military operation in history against the Soviet Union. Stalin's purges had decimated the Red Army's leadership. Initial German advances were staggering. Entire Soviet armies were encircled and destroyed. By November, German spearheads could see Moscow's spires. But the Wehrmacht had outrun its supply lines, and winter was coming. On December 6th, fresh Siberian divisions launched a massive counteroffensive. For the first time, the German army was in full retreat. Then, on December 7, 1941, Japan's attack on Pearl Harbor brought America into the war. What had begun as a European conflict was now truly global. Hitler's declaration of war on America 4 days later would prove one